Oh, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, whatever it happens to be over in your particular time zone. And yes, those things do exist. My name is TotalBiscuit, and we're having a look at the Vanishing of Ethan Carter. Just double-checking that my voice levels are looking okay. They look actually surprisingly low on my bars over here, but do let me know in the chat if you can actually hear me clearly. You should be able to, but my XSplit is claiming that I'm a lot quieter than I actually are. Oh great, we have XSplit crackle as well, so we're going to have to work through that before we actually start this thing. I do hate it when it does that. It's unfortunately an XSplit bug that has not been fixed. Not really a lot that I can actually do with that. It will eventually disappear, and I'm hoping that it does right about now. Let me just double check. Yeah. Okay. Crackle stopped. Good. Yeah, it's usually a very, very short thing. Okay, so speaking of very short things, we're going to be having a look at a very short preview build of The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. And I have not played it at all, because since it's a fairly short preview build, I didn't want to spoil myself, and it's a rather narratively focused game, as far as I can tell. Bear in mind, before we begin, since it is a preview build, and as such an earlier build, as opposed to the release build, there are apparently a number of issues with it that we might run into. Actually, I have a nice little list of things that could end up happening. If I apparently mash the buttons during a certain scene, I will screw up the game. Moving the mouse during the intro sequence will screw up the player's camera when the game begins. But that will fix itself after about a second, and saves are disabled in the preview. Okay, so those are things that we need to know, and there are apparently some issues with collision detection, which they're currently working on, and there needs to be a skip button for the visualization scenes, as well as a few other improvements and so on and so forth. So just bear that in mind before we go in. And of course, I'll give you a full assessment of this game on my channel in the proper format of the release version once I've actually had the chance to play it. Alright, let's dive on in. Kick in a little bit of ambiance. Do let me know if there's any issues with the sound levels on my voice compared to, say, the game, and I will do my best to adjust that. As usual, XSplit's monitoring of that is very imprecise, so we usually have to just play it by ear. Alright, cool. I have had a look at the options menu. I've messed around in it just a little bit. You'll see there's a bunch of stuff there. These are the settings I'm going to use for the time being, since it is a preview build. Oh, look, it has field of view, which defaults to 97, which is a little bit of a weird number there, but we'll stick with it. If it defaults to that, it's probably designed around that. And a disabled motion blur, as I always do, because I bloody well hate it. I mean, don't get me wrong, this might be the first game to do it right, but it doesn't seem all that likely. I usually disable that. Everything else is kind of cranked up. Could probably go a bit higher in the AA. It actually goes all the way up to... I think in the launcher it actually goes up to 16 times CSAA, but we're going to stick with 4 times MSAA for the time being, I think. Should do the job. It's a little bit of an unusual font, isn't it? Looks like something out of a journal. Alright, let us begin.